good spot for you over there, Rabbi, actually.
You like it over there?
Yeah, I do like you over there. Then you're near the table and the candles, that's more appropriate. So I'll be...
Well, is the camera getting this?
Yeah.
I was standing up there talking to Daniel and I said, I better go in just so they know somebody's here, you know, so, yeah. Okay, great. Oh, so you may watch it online? Yeah. Great.
Yes, I will. Okay. I will cover this board as addresses. Okay. We love your big, but we have it here. But I don't want to burn off my fingers.
Yeah, those are better for candles.
Yes. I don't want you to feel I don't appreciate it.
No, I'm fine with that.
I'm all for appreciating you. Microphone on and working? I like this sitting up close.
Yeah.
You guys could be sitting in the back, and then I would be.
We don't bite.
No.
So when we announce how many people are actually here, it's got to be at least between 30 and 40.
Right.
So could you pick a number?
Absolutely. 32.
32. Okay, 32. Okay, 32.
I'm trying to find a spot for Daniel and I together. That's not the very front row.
Kelly is going to be seated. It's right there.
I'm going to sit right here.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's her chair. Sitting.
What?
Shabbat Shalom to everyone. This Shabbat of Hanukkah. A lot of wonderful things have been happening down at the plaza for the last almost a week. Sunday night, we started the kindling of our outdoor Chanukiah, our outdoor menorah, at plaza outside here at the Unity Temple. And it's really been great. I mean, every night we've had some people there, and we've had a lot of jelly donuts consumed, a lot of Hanukkah gel distributed. But what I like about it is that we really brought Hanukkah to this area, and there's a lot of light. There's lights here in the plaza, but it's just sitting there, and every night it gets brighter, and I just think it's been great. In fact, and this is something I'm debating in my mind, as much as I love having the Chanukiah in the Krasny Garden when we get back, there's something of value for the New Reform Temple to somehow being down here in the plaza, to say, we're here. So it's really been a wonderful experience. It's one of the taking lemon and making lemonade out of it, this horrible pandemic, and then the challenge of our rebuilding our congregation that was so very needed in terms of the building. We've been able to make it something special, and I thank everyone who has been part of this. And I want it to be noted that I have been taking account. I think Glenn Young has eaten the most jelly donuts. It's possible he's eaten more jelly donuts than any Jew in the history of the world. But who's counting? I mean, but I'm not going to say very much more. So we're going to start, as is a tradition. We light Hanukkah lights first before we do anything in the service, because it's Friday evening. So we are going to do what we want to do here. We're going to do the blessings of the candles, and then Becky and Nathan are going to lead us in some songs. And then we'll go with the Shabbat service. So let's get ready for the blessings. They're from the Londy collection. The last 40 years we've been wandering in the wilderness carrying out more candles. So before I came to services, I said to Jane, what can we offer to the community this evening? And so these are very nice, aren't they? It's one of the advantages of never throwing anything out. Al-Hanisi.
Al-Hanisi.
three popular Hanukkah melodies out of 1,000. Okay, but these are the top three of the Becky and Nathan repertoire, and one of them has been recorded.
Yes, you recorded one.
Yes, you did one recorded this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Yemei Chanukah, Ner Li, and Ocho Candelitas. Ner Li, my candle. That.
We thought it was a beautiful folk melody, and we could just.
I like how simple it is.
Yeah,
It is, it's beautiful.
and
Isn't
it lends itself to the kind of music that we play.
Okay. Now we're going to take this to a whole different level. We're going to do a part of a Hanukkah melody that's written in Ladino, the Judeo-Spanish, which was very much prevalent among Sephardic Jews in many parts of the world, Turkey and Portugal and all kinds of different places. Okay, so, Ocho Candelitas.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, Tzivanu lehadlikner shel Shabbat, lehadlikner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom to everyone. Let us continue in our service. We got a lot to do tonight. We are going to continue on page 14, and we are going to rise for the Baruchu. You may be seated. On page 15, when we praise you, eternal God, creator of the universe, by whose laws the shadows of evening fall and the light of each new day is opened. In wisdom you have established a change of times and seasons and ordered the way of the stars in their heavenly courses. You are the creator of heaven and earth and the source of all life. We praise you, eternal God, for the day and its work, and for the night and its rest. Together on page 16, infinite is your power, even so is your love. It may be seen through the history of our people Israel, to the laws and ethical precepts, through statutes and ordinances, you have led us in the ways of righteousness and brought us to the light of truth. Therefore, in our lying down and our rising up, we will meditate on the Torah's teachings, finding within it the inspiration and guidance for our daily lives. May our love never depart from our hearts. We praise you, God. You have revealed your love through our people Israel. We continue with the Shema on page 17. We ask people to rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Baruch Shem Kivod, Shem Kivod, Le'olam, Le'olam,
truth is that we worship only one God, and there is none else. Through God's power alone has our people Israel been redeemed from the hand of oppressors. Great deeds God has wrought on our behalf, and wonders without number. God has kept us in life and has not let our people's footsteps falter. The Eternal One was with us during the long years of oppression. Our faith sustained us even when our people suffered the deepest anguish. And now that we live in the land of freedom, may we continue to be faithful to God and the teachings of Torah. May God's ways guide the lives of all people and unite our hearts in friendship. O God, our refuge and hope, we sing your praise as did our people in ancient days. We continue with Milchamopa, page 21. On page 22, grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and awaken each morning to renewed life and strength. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Help us to order our lives by your counsel and lead us in the paths of righteousness. Be a shield about us, fortifying us against hatred and war, pestilence and sorrow. Curb within us the inclination to do evil and enfold us with the embrace of your love. Guide our going out and coming in to life and peace from this time forth and forever. We praise you, God, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over our people Israel, and over all the world. We're going to continue with Yismachu.
Yismachu.
I've been waiting for this. It's not easy to convince Becky to do Yismachu. I mean, you know,
That's great.
no, before we do every service, I have to like negotiate. Becky, I really want Yismachu, and there's always resistance.
We all have our own version of reality.
And I'm glad yours isn't part of my reality. I don't want anyone in my reality. Okay, Yismachu, page 24.
Oh,
25 as we rise for the Amidah. Desires and struggles of our daily lives, Shabbat has been passed down to us as a day of refreshment for the soul. We thank you, God, for all the blessings which you have bestowed upon us during this past week, for the preservation of our lives, of our health and our strength, for the joys of home, of love, of friendship, for all the good influences that support us in times of trial and turmoil. You bestow upon us the blessings that brighten our days. Together, in gratitude, may we also face the sorrows that cast their shadows over us with courage and faith in our experiences. We seek to recognize your guidance and wisdom. May this Shabbat bring rest to every disquieted heart and be a healing balm to every wounded soul. Endow us with contented spirit, and we pray for new blessings. May we come to you with humility, remembering that we cannot know whether what we seek is really for our good. Help us to find meaning and hope in times of joy and also in times of sadness. May we remember that only by holding fast to our cherished ideals, by the fulfillment of our duties, and through the goodness of our deeds, can we make our worship truly worthy of your faith. Let's read together on the top of page 29. We gratefully acknowledge that the eternal God is our creator and preserver, the rock of our life and the shield of our help. We pray God and sing praises for the gift of life itself, for our souls that are ever in God's keeping, for the signs of our Creator's presence that we encounter every day, and for God's wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. Truly our blessings are without end, and God's loving kindness never ceases. Therefore, do we forever put our trust in the eternal one. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, eternal source of peace, and enable our people Israel to be its messenger to all the world. Bless our country that it may ever be a pursuer of peace and its advocate in the council of nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and harmony among the inhabitants of all lands. Plant virtue in every soul, and may our love for you hallow every home and every heart. We praise you, O God, giver of peace. And let us say, Amen. We continue with Shalom Rabbi.
Let
continue in some moments of private reflection. Friends, every morning when you wake up, we say a blessing, thanking God for giving our souls back to us, really giving us life back. And when we do that, I think we should be mindful of the fact that if we wake up in the morning and we are alive and able to function, and our bodies are able to carry us through the day, literally that is a day of great blessing. And we're also aware of the fact that if we wake up and our bodies are not working, or we know people whose bodies are struggling, or we hear the voice of someone who's been ill and it's kind of shaking and it's fragile. It's really, you not only feel the pain for them, but it's kind of shakes you up as well, the kind of equilibrium of the world. So at this time when we recite the Mishabera, let's be mindful of the fact that let's not take for granted our health and our ability just to function in this world. And let us be grateful to that, and let us be grateful for our bodies to be able to heal, and that there are people who can help in our healing. Let's be mindful of those who struggle with illness, and every day of their lives, every day, every week, we hear of news of people who have new struggles, and it's very unnerving, very painful for them. And we also pray for those of us who stand next to people who are sick, and pray that those who support the ill will have strength to do that. So when we say this Mishabera prayer, we're not just some magical moment. It's really hoping that the world, in an inclusive way, is mindful of the blessing of life and working towards life. So let's continue on page 10 with Mishabera.
Bless the ones before us,
French Shabbat Shalom to everyone this evening. Censorship is poisonous. It shuts down debate. It inhibits free inquiry. It stifles intellectual growth. Today, some universities censor speakers whose ideas might offend some people. School libraries are being forced by vocal parents to take books off the shelves, especially those dealing with race or the struggles and realities of the LGBTQ communities. Now, censorship is unfortunately part of Jewish history. I wish I could say it isn't, but it is. And one of the great victims of censorship and persecution was Baruch Spinoza. In the 17th century, Spinoza was charged with heresy and cast out of the Amsterdam Sephardic Jewish community. He was born in 1632. His father was a successful businessman who had come from the converso, the kind of community in Portugal. But his father was a successful businessman and a member and a strong leader in the synagogue. And Spinoza was a polyglot. His native language is Portuguese, but he knew Hebrew, he knew Spanish, he knew Dutch, he knew Latin. That was the language that he used to write his philosophical treatises. He had this traditional Jewish education up until the age of 17, and then he went in his father's business. But Spinoza continued his studies, and over the next few years, he began to lay the intellectual foundation of a very important rational philosophy of how we deal with reality. Now, while Spinoza's exact heresies weren't documented, rumors began to swirl in the Sephardic Jewish community. You know, there's never rumors in a Jewish community, you know that. No one's ever talking behind people's backs. But it was always the case, and there was talk about his unorthodox views, in that he started to clash with religious authorities in Amsterdam. And it's said that at one point a fanatic shouting heretic attacked Spinoza with a knife on the steps of the local synagogue. And at the age of 24, and mind you, he hadn't written anything at this time, nothing was in print. At the age of 24, Spinoza was expelled under the writ, it's called Pharaoh, excommunication, from the Jewish community of Amsterdam. Now, this is what we know. It's documented. On July 27, 1656, the elders of the Synagogue of Amsterdam pronounced the following cherem, or edict of excommunication, on the young Baruch Spinoza. It's a long thing, so let me give you the highlights. I'm going to give you the text if you want to excommunicate somebody, so don't say I never gave anything. Here it is. By the decrees of the angels and the words of the saints, we ban, cut off, curse, and anathemize Baruch de Spinoza with all the curses written in the Torah. Cursed be by day, and cursed by night, cursed in his lying down, cursed in his waking up, cursed in his going forth, cursed in his coming in. And may the Lord not want his pardon, and may the Lord's wrath and zeal burn upon him. They're just warming up. The text of the cherem is short on reasons. There are vague references to horrible heresies, awful deeds, evil opinions said to have been practiced and held by Spinoza. The cherem concludes with a threatening warning that anyone who seeks to aid, comfort, or abet Spinoza, or read anything composed or written by him, will suffer the same fate. Literally, when you are excommunicated, none of the members of the community can even talk to you. Literally. It must be noted that this was the strictest, most severe ban ever imposed by the Amsterdam Portuguese Jewish community. Now, Spinoza said some incredible things against traditional Jews. Spinoza rejected the providential God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He rejected a supernatural God. For him, God and nature really are one. He was a pantheist. He insisted that the Bible not be taken literally true, and he referred to it as a mutilated collection of human writings handed down through the centuries. You don't learn that in Hebrew school. He denies that Jewish law and ceremony observance are of any validity or relevance for contemporary Jews. He maintains that there is no theological, moral, or metaphysical sense in which the Jewish people are different from any other people. He was against chosenness. He said, God is equally gracious to us all. He rejected the idea of the immortality of the soul, and he generally spoke against the danger of ecclesiastical authority, which he believed undermined the freedom of a liberal society. So for the last 350 years, this controversy has continued. The Cherem is in effect. Hermann Cohn, who was one of the leading German late 19th century Jewish philosophers, said that Spinoza was a renegade against his people, apostate who slandered Judaism. But there are also those who fought against the excommunication. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, started this public discussion in 1953, and he called upon, and I quote, amending the injustice done to the philosopher, insisting that the 17th century rabbis had no authority to exclude the immortal Spinoza from the community of Israel at all times. Now, why bring this up? This has been a Spinoza week. And I follow this, I do a Google search every morning, Spinoza, and see what's going to pop up. No, I don't. But I got Becky to listen for a moment. So here's what happened. This past week, the Spanish-Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam, whose leaders excommunicated Spinoza. A footnote, if you're in Amsterdam, you've got to go to this synagogue. It is incredibly gorgeous. Jane and I, when we had Leora and Noah were babies, we took them for Shabbat services to the Spanish-Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam. It was incredible. They weren't overly friendly, but it was fun. So, the Spanish-Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam banned this week a scholar of Spinoza's work from visiting the community synagogue and library. Yitzhak Melamed, who happens to be a very traditional Jew, who's a professor of philosophy at Johns Hopkins University, was denied his request to visit the synagogue with a film crew that he planned to film in conducting research in the library's archives. In responding to the professor in a letter, Rabbi Joseph Sparty, a leader of the Amsterdam Sephardic community, told Melamed he would not be welcomed into the building. I have a copy of the letter he wrote. I'm willing to submit it to Glenn. I'm going to give it to you. You'll be the record keeper for this message. So here it is. It's on the Portuguese, the stationery of the Portuguese Jewish community. And here's what it says. November 28, 2021. To the attention of Professor Yitzhak Melamed, the Chachamim, the wise people, and the Parnasim, the people like the board members, the people who take care of the economics of the synagogue, of the Kahal Kodesh Talmud Torah, the name of the synagogue, excommunicated Spinoza in his writings with the severest possible ban, a ban that remains in force for all times and cannot be rescinded. This is November 28th, 2021. You have devoted your life to the study of Spinoza's banned works and the development of his ideas. Your request to visit our complex and create a film about the Apikoros. Apikoros is someone who is knowledgeable about Judaism and rejects it. About this Apikoros in our esnoga, in yeshiva, in our synagogue in yeshiva, is incompatible with our century-old halachic, historic, ethical traditions, and an unacceptable assault on our identity and heritage. So his wanting to come is an assault on them. And I quote, I therefore deny your request to declare you persona non grata in the Portuguese synagogue complex. So this scholar who wants to get his film is not even allowed in the building because he studies Spinoza. I wish you a meaningful Hanukkah. That's how he closes it. You can't make this stuff up. It's not hard giving sermons every week. You just open your eyes and see how crazy the world is. So what do we make of this? Obviously, we're not living in 17th century. In fact, Spinoza's ideas end up being essential for liberal Judaism that we're practicing. Because even when he didn't have the right answers, he asked the right questions. He asked questions about the Torah, about the reality of God, about the meaning of Jewish observance, the chosenness of the Jews. These are the questions that Reformed Jews struggle with today. Reformed Jews are very Spinozian. There's such a word. We feel free to ask fundamental questions. We honor free inquiry. We reject censorship of provocative ideas because we believe that a liberal free society is the best way to cultivate religion. We are Jews not because we're told to be Jews, but because we want to be Jews. Our minds lead us to embrace our tradition. But the story has a happy ending. You know, I put these remarks together, I think, yesterday. And so in the morning, I said, just opened up my computer, and there something had developed. The community apologized to Professor Malone. And here is another copy of the letter, of the stationery. But it's not written by the rabbi. It's written by the chairman of the Ma'amad, which would be the board, and the director of the Jewish Cultural Quarter, which is the Sephardic synagogue is part of. Dear Professor Malamed, this is December 1st. The internet, this became a thing. I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't out there. Dear Professor Malamed, we regret that a perfectly normal request to visit the premises of the Portuguese synagogue in order to work on a documentary has led to an international uproar. The letters of the rabbinate of the Portuguese Jewish community that caused this were sent without prior knowledge and authorization of the Ma'amad. The rabbi didn't check with the board. First rule of the rabbinate. Don't go out there unless your leaders are behind you. The Ma'amad, in its capacity for being the sovereign of the Esnoga premises, in other words, they're in control of it, has informed its members that the rabbinate does not have sole authority to declare anyone persona non grata on its premises. No one can say you can't come to this synagogue or use the library. We, the chairman of the Ma'amad and the general director of the Jewish Cultural Quarter, under whose daily aegis the synagogue complex is open to the public, herewith confirm to you that we gladly welcome you to visit our premises to work on a said documentary. It goes without saying that the access includes full, unlimited access to all the resources of the Eitz Chaim, the library. This is a matter of academic freedom, guaranteed by the Jewish Cultural Quarter, under whose aegis Eitz Chaim, the Varia operates. We do hope that you will decide to pursue your plans to come to Amsterdam and do your work as requested. We look forward to welcoming you. Now, thank goodness this knee-jerk reaction of the rabbi was put aside. And that the liberal values that Spinoza fought for won out. Now, let's look at it this way. It's healthy and appropriate for religious leaders to challenge Spinoza, to speak against him, to point out his flaws, even his dangers. But he was a serious, sincere Jew, one of the great minds of modern time, who was lost to Judaism for hundreds of years because the community couldn't absorb and engage his brilliant ideas. Some ideas are not compatible with Judaism. I agree. But the expression of those ideas is essential for the vitality, even for the holiness of the community. You know, when we stifle thought, we end up destroying the lifeblood of religion. I mean, and that's why, and I say it with, you know, with pride. I know a lot about Judaism. I choose to identify with the progressive Jews. I am very proud to identify with Reform Rabbinate, Reform movement. I mean, that's why I'm at this temple and not at some other synagogue. Because I believe that freedom of thought, of expression, of inquiry are the path to the love of God and to the perfection of the world. God blesses us with minds so that we can use them. Now, the excommunication has worn out its welcome. It's time to get rid of it. And I was just having a thought. If by some miracle Baruch Spinoza applied for a synagogue for membership, we will fast-track his membership application to the board. We might even give him a reduced rate. How dare we deny a place in our community for any serious question of Shabbat Shalom. Okay. We are going to continue on page 368, and we're going to rise for the adoration.
Let us adore the ever-living God. We offer praise unto you. The spread of the heavens and established the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above. Your grace is manifest throughout the world. You are God. There is
Together on page 369, let us read these paragraphs together. May the time not be distant, O God, when you shall be worshipped throughout the earth, when unbelief shall disappear and error be no more. Fervently we pray that the day may come when all people shall be guided by your teachings. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. And all who dwell on earth shall know that to you alone every knee shall bend and every voice give praise. May all created in your image recognize that we are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and one in harmony be forever united before you. Then shall your reign be established on earth, and the word of your ancient prophet be fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever. On that day the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one. You may be seated. At this time, we recall the yurt sites that have hearted the permanent memory of our community. Ellis Bradley, Hortense Brosman, Giselle Endlich, Bill Horowitz, Doris Kaplan, William Kaplan, Bertha Lang, Maxwell Levy, Leon Manning, Bart Morse Jr., Meyer Perlman, David Rothberg, Nate Sherwin, Wesley Strauss. And during this period of Shloshim, we mourn the passing of Henny Baum. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith that links the generations of the house of Israel one to another, all who are in mourning and all who are in Yurtzeit, observing Yurtzeit, join together with the rest of our congregation as we rise to recite the mourner's Kaddish, page 375. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yomah Yivrach, Yerusei, V'yomlit Machutei, V'chayechonu, V'yemechonu, V'yedachol Beit Yisrael, V'galav Izman Karev, V'yemru, Amen, Yehei Shmei Rabbah, V'yorach, V'yolam, Omei, Omayah, Yitbarach, Yishabach, V'yar, V'yomah, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, V'ytaleh, V'ytalal, Shmei Kedusha, V'yrechu, Eilan, V'yimpo, V'yirchata, V'shirata, Tishbechata, V'nechamata, Damiran, V'yomah, V'yimru, Amen, Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chagim, Aleinu V'yokol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen, Oseh Shalom V'yomah, V'yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'yokol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. May the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say Amen. Please be seated. The Shabbat flowers, they're beautiful. What are these? Those red things. What are they?
Bird of paradise?
Birds of paradise. That's what they are. I just never knew what they were.
Well, which red one?
No, this.
Well, that's a lily, isn't it?
Oh,
What is this?
I think the other red one's a bird of paradise.
So everyone's pretending that they know,
Yeah.
but nobody knows.
Yeah.
No, really, this, what is this?
That's a bird of paradise. I don't know.
And we don't know what that is. Well, we need to find out. Who's in charge of finding out what that is? Kelly?
Kelly.
Kelly, I couldn't even get the sentence out, and she flipped it over to me.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that is,
Well played.
that's being,
I'm quick.
you're quick, you're beyond quick. So the flowers,
Never know.
no, we're going to find out. The Shabbat flowers are in memory of Tova Horowitz by Rocky and Susan Horowitz, in memory of Leon Maddy by Susan and Steve Block, in memory of Nate Shorin by Leland and Jill Shorin, in memory of Leslie Strauss by the Strauss family. What's happening? Worship, having services next week as well, here, in person. Schmoozing with the Rabbi is continuing. We continue to have a very active social justice committee. We're continuing with the Digit Tutoring Project, and we are collecting non-perishable foods for Operation Breakthrough and the people that this organization serves. And we have tomorrow night is the 7th night of Hanukkah, and Sunday night is 8th night of Hanukkah. Everyone is welcome to come. We got plenty of jelly donuts, and if you bring your canned goods, we'll collect it and make sure that it gets to Operation Breakthrough. That's about it. Now, before we end the service, all of you who have come tonight get jelly donuts. Glenn, since you have such a beautiful relationship with jelly donuts, isn't he a good sport? It's terrible. Seriously, could you pass out some jelly donuts? Take one. They're all wrapped, so there's no COVID issues. We also have We also have Hanukkah gelt. We got chocolate Hanukkah gelt.
This one I inherited, this one I got.
We can give it to the Blisses right after. Here's chocolate Hanukkah gelt. I wish I could send it to those people who are watching. I can't. I'm not a magician. There you go. And if you don't have a dreidel, do you have a dreidel?
I have a dreidel, I think one of my disciples.
You have a dreidel?
I don't. I think I made one and thought that they were so cute. Thank you.
Okay, anyone need a dreidel? It's a full service congregation. You get dreidels, who wants a dreidel? Anyone want a dreidel? You get a dreidel? I don't know these. Okay. Okay, and you see what's happening here? The last candle is about to burn out. I mean, there's something mystical happening here tonight. Okay, we are going to conclude our service beautifully. Here is a beautiful Italian melody from Al-Sur that a lot of we were listening to. Who were listening? No. I was listening to someone else. The Zamir Chorale in Boston does this beautifully this time of the year. So Ma'otsur in a beautiful, beautiful setting. Okay? Shalom to everyone. Chag Urim Sameach, a joyful festival of lights.
I'll bring them to my
Nice having you here. Here we go. We did it. We did it right.
Oh, right.
I think what we'll do here is, if we can, let's collect reports.
Did we grab it? Did we? Is that on here?